I'm Alma Langlois, wishing all of you a Merry Christmas. And as cynical as I am, I love this time of year. And there's nothing that screams holiday spirit like Christmas horror movies. When I was growing up, my mother wasn't fond of this tradition.
Please God, not on Christmas!
But hey, we all celebrate in our own way. But Christmas can also be a sad time for a lot of people. I've had some depressing Christmases through the years, and rates of depression, anxiety, and loneliness rise over the holidays. I talked about one of those guys last year.
You see, there's some really shifty looking characters in here tonight, and I'm just trying to blend in.
But to me, these movies are about both the light and the darkness of the holidays, the excitement and the cheer, but also the more volatile, painful emotions it can stir up. And don't forget all the Scrooges who get you something really thoughtless and lame. Not to mention cheap.
I should be getting a lot, and I'm gonna take it all back and get the money for it. You can do that, you know.
Today's movie embodies the spirit of Christmas.
Merry Christmas! 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 Merry Christmas!
The film John Waters declared to be his favorite Christmas movie, one that he said if he had kids, he'd make them watch it every year and then punish them if they didn't like it. I'm talking Christmas Evil, written and directed by Lewis Jackson. Originally titled You Better Watch Out, which is a way better title for this movie. But for some reason, distributors think they know everything.
I'm from Hollywood. I have the brains.
Christmas Evil is the story of Harry Stadling. As a young lad, Harry fervently believes in Santa Claus, even when his younger brother Phil insists that Santa isn't real. Determined to prove Phil wrong, Harry sneaks downstairs at night only to find a more intimate version of the song I Saw Mommy Kissing Santa Claus playing out in front of the Christmas tree.
What are you doing?
It's an understatement to say that Harry's traumatized by the death of his childhood dreams. Flash forward several decades later, Harry's all grown up and obsessed with Christmas. He no longer believes in Santa Claus, he wants to be Santa Claus. He sets out to emulate his jolly holiday idol, keeping an eye on the neighborhood kids and keeping a record of who's been naughty or nice, with a special spot on the naughty list reserved for the reviled neighborhood problem child, Moss Garcia.
Moss Garcia throws rocks at dogs, uses profane language, picks his nose, impure thoughts, negative body hygiene.
As Harry's obsession metastasizes, he withdraws from Phil and Phil's family, spending more and more time constructing a Santa costume and retreating further into his fantasy world. Harry only wants to spread Christmas cheer, but disillusioned that he's surrounded by greedy, mean-spirited Scrooges, he completes his transformation into jolly old Saint Nick and embarks on a quest to bring back the spirit of Christmas. But unfortunately, Harry's version of good tidings and joy sometimes involves multiple homicide. The idea for Christmas Evil had been germinating since 1970, when, in a haze of reefer madness, Lewis Jackson had a vision of a Santa Claus with a knife. Even once he returned from orbit, he still couldn't get the vision out of his head, so he began pounding out a screenplay. He wrote several drafts, honing and refining over the years. Initially, it was written for a large Hollywood budget, but after conversing with a few different agents in the late 70s who found the script too sick for Hollywood. You know, for people fueled entirely by cocaine and superficial degeneracy, those people are way too uptight.
I hate those guys.
Anyway, Jackson then tailored his script to be a low-budget independent feature. In 1979, producers Edward Pressman and Burt Kleiner financed the project, then retitled Santa, and filmed it in northern New Jersey in late 79 and continuing into January 1980. The shoot was 50 days and initially cost $400,000, but Jackson was able to secure an additional $400,000 to secure the cinematographer of his choice, Ricardo Aronovich. Jackson flew to Vienna to convince Aronovich in person to do the project with elaborate hand-drawn storyboards. Christmas Evil was Aronovich's first American picture. All the Christmas tchotchkes and Santa Claus decor in Harry's apartment was for Louis Jackson's own personal collection he had been amassing since coming up with the idea. And the Jolly Toy Company where Harry works was a local toy factory in New Brunswick, New Jersey, owned by Edward Pressman's mother. I had an aunt from New Brunswick, New Jersey. I won't hold that against the place. Louis Jackson grew up in a traditional Jewish family in Brooklyn. His parents pushed him to go to medical school, but instead, he heard the siren call of cinema, and his youthful love of art house and genre movies led him to studying film at the University of Pittsburgh, and then later at NYU's famous program at age 30. Jackson worked a variety of jobs in and around the film industry, including as a critic for the Independent Film Journal, crewing on independent features, including some hardcore films, and directing the lost experimental drive-in film Transformation, a sandwich of nightmares. Christmas Evil really reflects Jackson's love of both European art house film and classic horror films and drive-in films. I also can't completely articulate why, but the way Jackson uses music and some of the visuals in the film is really giving me Kenneth Anger vibes. Aronovich's cinematography is grittily gorgeous, really capturing the bleak beauty of winter, and also the earthiness of the blue-collar milieu in which most of the film takes place. Though the success of Halloween helped Christmas Evil finally procure its financing, it doesn't have much in common with the other films in the slasher cycle. Christmas Evil is more of a psychological horror film. Pretentious idiots have ruined that term, but it's the best way to describe a film like this that details the inner workings and unraveling of a person's mind. The first half of the film is a character study, spending a lot of time with Harry and his daily habits, and the fantasy world he retreats further and further into, the camera lingering on his reactions. We get to understand what motivates him and what finally pushes him over the edge. It's like the Taxi Driver Christmas special! You can really see the fingerprints of everyone's favorite God's Lonely Man, Travis Bickle, all over Christmas Evil. Jackson said the three biggest influences on the film were Taxi Driver, M, and his favorite holiday flick, A Christmas Carol. Leading man Brandon Maggart said Jackson screened M for him in preparation for playing Harry. Christmas Evil is more thoughtful and insightful than many of the slasher films to follow, and bubbles with dark humor and observant satire under the surface. The characters' family relationships also ring very true. And I love the marriage between Phil and Jackie. You know, toxic, dysfunctional relationships have become a modern Hollywood cliche, but Phil and Jackie have a strong marriage. They really care for each other, and even after years of being together and having 2 children, they're still very passionate and amorous towards one another. Quick aside, 2 of the actresses who auditioned for Jackie but got turned down were Glenn Close and Kathleen Turner. Kathleen had to settle for being in Body Heat the following year. Another thing I really love about the film is that it's a snapshot of working class and middle class life in late 70s New York City. And a lot of the time, New York is just reduced to a by-road location, or it's kind of more like a tourist pamphlet version of the city. But I think with Jackson being a native and the perceptive eye of Aronovich, in Christmas Evil, the location really feels like a living, breathing place. A film like this hinges on its leading man, and Brandon Maggart gives a bravura performance as Harry. For many years, Maggart had a pretty negative view of the film, and he's professed he doesn't like horror movies at all. But he's softened on it over the years and come to embrace it. I think it's because he's realized one of the big reasons for the film's fervent following is that fans love his phenomenal performance. Maggart really sinks his teeth into this role, and he plays Harry with gusto, putting his talent and experience for comedy and musical theater to outstanding use. A seasoned theater actor with a marvelous deadpan sense of humor, Brandon Maggart was born Roscoe Maggart Jr. in Carthage, Tennessee, a small town on the Cumberland River east of Nashville. You know, we don't have enough guys named Roscoe anymore.
Yeah, no, yes.
As a nameless teenager only interested in football and girls, his math teacher encouraged him to perform on stage. Maggart took to it, studying drama at University of Tennessee and singing with the Knoxville Symphony Orchestra. He won a coveted scholarship to study acting in New York, where he made a name for himself performing for musical comedies, including a Tony-nominated turn in Applause. He was also one half of the popular comedy duo Buddy and Jim on the first season of Sesame Street in 1969.
Well, don't just stand there. Get a new bulb. What are you doing with a light bulb in your pocket?
If you put them in your shoes, they break.
A prolific character actor in film and television, Maggart was a bit of a ladies' man. And with that face, who could be surprised? He had 7 kids, including fellow actor Garrett Maggart, cabaret singer Maud Maggart, and singer-songwriter and 90s darling Fiona Apple. I think I read somewhere that she said she and her siblings used to watch Christmas Evil as part of their holiday celebration every year. Maggart struggled with alcoholism for years, drinking to cope with pain from a spinal injury. At age 91, he's retired from acting, but still active creatively as a painter and a writer. He's written some historical fiction novels and a series of memoirs infused with flights of fancy about his theater days. I'm linking his Amazon author page below if you want to check it out. For Harry, Santa Claus represents his childhood idealism, viewing the world with wonder and believing that people are basically good, versus adult disillusionment. And in this movie, the journey into adult disillusionment begins with awareness of sex. Sex in genre movies usually symbolizes the death of childhood and entry into adulthood. Although I don't know. I've known people who've been having sex since their early teens, and they still haven't managed to reach adulthood.
Well, it's better than playing with toys.
Harry's repulsed by sexuality, but I don't think for puritanical reasons. It's more of a threat to his childhood innocence. The children in the film all love Harry because he shares their ingenuity and imagination. Except for that no-good Moss Garcia.
I want to stay home and watch TV.
Who do you think you are, your father? Get in.
No!
Moss? Will you get in the car? Moss, do you hear me? Moss?
There's something in the bushes. It's a monster trying to grab me.
Look, I have had all I'm going to take from you.
There's something horrible in there. Ow!
Now you get in the car. Go on.
That's a young Patricia Richardson as Moss's mama. She went on to co-star in the long-running sitcom Home Improvement. Anyway, Harry shares some similarities to Jamie Goddard in Toys Are Not for Children, and not just their shared obsession with toys. Both were emotionally arrested in childhood due to trauma. With Jamie, it was the abandonment by her father. For Harry, it was the death of his childhood idealism and a refusal to succumb to an adulthood he equates with corruption. Harry doesn't set out to hurt people. His goal is to be someone who reinjects joy, magic, and the spirit of giving back into a cynical and increasingly self-centered world.
Merry Christmas!
Where did you come from? I mean, who sent you?
That's a very long story. I assume all the little children have been good this year.
Of course.
Well, you'd better get some more help.
You'd better get some of the staff. I'll wait here. Can I ask who donated all this?
Some people who didn't realize how generous they could be. Now, all you have to do is say, Merry Christmas, little boys and girls! Merry Christmas, everyone! Merry Christmas, Santa Claus!
He's consistently disappointed in the people around him who ridicule him, take advantage of him, or even bully him.
I said, forget it. I got you guys' number now.
What do you mean?
The right tune. I've been trying to find the notes to it for as long as I can remember. Well, I found them. I can play the tune now.
Phil's concerned about him, but he doesn't know how to help him. And he feels disappointed and resentful for having to be Harry's keeper rather than having an older brother he could look up to. Maybe Christmas Evil has something to say about the gradual disappearance of male role models. Personally, I think we need more of this guy.
You believe in Jesus, Senator? Well, you're going to meet him.
I think if you're a creative person, you can relate to Harry. And this is a common theme in other movies I've discussed on this channel. Harry is a character who has a romantic vision of how the world should be, and who spends too much time in his own head. And much like Elaine in The Love Witch, and Martin Mathias in Martin, when given the choice between fantasy and reality, he'd choose to live in the fantasy. The times where Harry is at his happiest are the times when he successfully embodied Santa Claus and spread joy and charity to other people. He's only provoked to violence by people who are cruel, bullying, selfish, and greedy. Jackson said, "I never saw this as a killer Santa movie. I saw this as a movie about the real Santa Claus." If you go back to the history of the mythology, the Germanic Santa Claus was basically someone who gave good to the good and bad to the bad. Santa Claus and his little partner, Ruprecht, the devil's stable boy, or Black Pete or whoever, would go door to door and ask parents if their children had been good. If they said no, Black Pete would put the kid in a sack and drag them away screaming. Our image of Santa Claus is based on Coca-Cola. It's a sanitized marketing thing.
But now, I want you to remember to stay good boys and girls. Respect your mothers and fathers and do what they tell you. Obey your teachers and learn a whole lot. Now, if you do this, I'll make sure you get good presents from me every year. But if you're bad boys and girls, your name goes in the bad boys and girls book. And I'll bring you something horrible.
Christmas Evil is also about the conflict between the true spirit of Christmas and the corruption of Christmas into a celebration of vacuous consumerism. Harry, unlike his co-workers, is enthusiastic about the toys he makes. He sees toys as a symbol of childhood magic and imagination, and think of all the joy and wonder each one could bring to the child who opens it on Christmas morning.
Nobody here is interested in good toys.
That includes me.
Me too. I can understand that. You've never felt the thrill of making a good toy. Now, how could you in this place? But I bet you got kids, right?
2, 5.
Don't you understand how useful rigidly constructed toys are? How inspirational? Their value goes way beyond making money.
Any word who's getting laid off in January, Harry?
Laid off? I didn't even know they were considering it.
Oh, right. You don't go to union meetings anymore.
For the other men in the factory, they feel like their work is undervalued by management, who's also threatened to lay some of them off to save a few bucks after the holiday season. And they also feel like they're just mass-producing cheap plastic junk. Although by today's standards, the factory in Christmas Evil comes off as way more charming and quaint. It's still a local factory employing union workers. Now it'd be some multinational conglomerate exploiting cheap scab labor. Consumerism robs Christmas of its soul and replaces genuine magnanimity that comes from the heart and the generosity of spirit with hollow performative charity that's more about trying to appear like a nice person instead of being a nice person. The toy factory executives make a show of donating toys to an underfunded hospital for mentally impaired children. But it's all a PR stunt, and the charity's really coming out of the pockets of the workers on the assembly line.
Harry, the kid wants to make a splash. He wants to study all the theories of how to run the factory. Now, I think a pure theory is getting back to basics.
That film over there, it's not specific about how many toys the company's donating.
That's right, boy, here. That campaign is his first contribution to the company.
Are there enough toys for all the children in the hospital?
I don't have the slightest idea how many children are in that hospital, Harry. I worked on campaign presentation. But I'll tell you something, the idea of mine is really solid. The factory can't always shoulder the whole burden.
You mean you're waiting for these guys to contribute?
You're on the other side of the desk now. You gotta understand good business.
It's okay, Harry. Really, the factory comes out okay, and so do those kids you're so worried about.
You're worse than he is. He doesn't even know why a tune has to be played. You actually know how to play it. And look what you're doing with it.
Harry's first victims are a trio of smug, mean-spirited yuppies leaving midnight mass who sneer at Santa Claus. What kind of jerk tries to bully Santa Claus? Those dildos had to go. Christmas Evil unfortunately received limited distribution on its initial release and then became a victim of serial bootlegging. The only project Jackson was subsequently offered was a slasher film with a killer Easter bunny, which he wasn't interested in doing. But the film's spirit lived on, and it's now a beloved holiday classic among genre fans. Now that we've learned the true meaning of Christmas, join me in the new year. I've got an Al Adamson double feature for you in January, starting with the great biker flick, Satan's Sadist. And join me on Patreon for exclusive reviews. What better way to stay warm in the dead of winter than with one of the snowiest and sleaziest exploitation films? The inspirational story of a nebbishy office clerk who goes on a violent and surreal rampage. It's The Secret Life of Walter Mitty meets American Psycho from the twisted minds who brought you Thriller: A Cruel Picture, Breaking Point.
Oh, check it out!
But until then, all you ghouls have a Merry Christmas.